it's live on YouTube. So let me
Yay.
set that up. Let me see if the Facebook one will work. I don't know. For some reason, Facebook seems to be funky these days.
Oh,
Like the Go Live version is not even working. So copy. Let's go to Mozilla.
no.
Let's try to get this started. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. I think I see YouTube popping up.
Yay.
Yay! Yeah. Hello world. Okay. Let's see if we can conquer Facebook. And the thing is that until you start the meeting, you can't like go. You can't like stream them. If not, I'll have just done all this beforehand. You have to like. You probably know this already. You have
Oh.
to start the meeting.
I've never done Zoom to any other platform before.
Oh
I just do
really?
record, edit,
Same.
then upload.
It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. Let me do the gallery view. There we go. So that way people can see
Okay.
both of us. Or maybe I don't know. Do you think it's better for the optics? Should I do half and half, like your face on my face, or just do speaker view?
Let's do half and half so that way people
Okay.
can see like our body language.
Okay. All right. Facebook isn't going through. I don't know what's happened. It's not
Oh,
going. Yeah. Mm, yeah. I have no idea why. Okay. Well. Like it's showing here the but it's not populating the go live button.
oh,
I hate when it does that.
strange.
I go. So let me try Mozilla. Let me see if that works. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, no, no. It's okay. It's very much okay.
I'm doing this because I don't want to come on Zoom. Here. Edit. Let's see. Account settings. So let me go live. Yeah. Live. What's grayed out? Facebook. Yeah. Let me see what it says here. I'll press enter. Okay. Someone has had that problem. How did you fix? How did you fix it? There are five answers. Uh, oh well. I think we'll just stick to.
So Facebook isn't working, hey?
Yeah, it's not letting me go live. I don't know why. I really don't
Are
know.
you gonna record too as well?
Yes, I'm recording. I'm gonna record
Okay.
this. Yeah,
Maybe you will
I have.
just upload it then.
Yeah. But the beauty
Then
about
probably
Facebook,
maybe do like a post so that your followers know
yeah,
to
I'll
go
do
to
that now.
YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. Now live on my channel. Please use the Facebook link. Let's see. One person is watching.
What's your YouTube name again so I can share the link on my page?
I'm let me send it to you on check your IG inbox because it has it all. You know what? Can I put it as a chat here? Are you able to copy it?
Yeah, I'll just have to take my phone off and for like a brief
Oh,
second.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, let me send you the direct link. There's a direct link that it has. This technology sometimes make you feel like you don't know what you're doing.
I
Okay.
know.
There, O's there. All right, there you go. So
Alrighty. Thanks.
use the YouTube gateways. All right. Thanks to those who are joining
Alrighty.
us. Just give us like a two shakes. We want to figure out something that I don't give up easily. So the live button is not working on Facebook. I'm not able to go live on Facebook. I just want to check something out real quick before we get started. And for those that are just here, thank you so much. You can use the chat function to like send us questions. We're gonna be talking about marital relationships, focusing on long distance, and just how to like the tips to like make it, you know, yummy and work out. Okay, well, I hate to say this, but I give up on Facebook at this moment. It's not working. All right. Well. I tried. I really did try. Don't say I don't
Okay.
do anything for you guys. I did try. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Let me just remember to um hit that record button. Oh, you need to mute it. Okay, record on this computer. Yes. Welcome everyone to the show. My name is Mo Sibyl, and I am the host of the More Sibyl podcast. It's a podcast for Blacks, Asians, and those who love them. And I use it as an opportunity to share stories, to connect people, to set processes free, because I believe that you shouldn't do life alone. And I'm so always thankful when I have guests on the show because number one is like, you know, they actually want to talk, which is good. And it's even more exciting when you have a repeat guest come back. It means that you did them so well that they came back again. And I am so excited to explore this person's story. If you don't know her, you need to know her. She's very active on Twitter. She's like one of those people on Twitter that I'm like, how does she even do it? Like she's so engaging. She chats with her followers, and I think they have such a fierce love for her. I don't like Twitter, so that's a different conversation. But she's really good at that. She's also a Christian. She's boldly Christian. She expresses her faith, and you will get to know a little bit about it as you know we go on. But this is the show. There are many stories where this is coming from, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast on. We also have a new Instagram page where it's for fans only. So if you want to be like more engaging with other people from every part of the world, I highly recommend you joining that platform. And yeah, there are more stories that are going to be coming out from here. So without further ado, I would like to warmly introduce today's guest. Her name is Bibi Babatunde Kotun. She's a minister of the gospel and a lifestyle digital content creator. She's all about sharing the good news to everybody out there. And really, the simple truth is that God is not angry with you. He's expended all of his anger on Jesus. She's also very passionate about helping believers grow in their full identity in Christ and drop the cloak of self-righteousness. She has a bachelor's degree in international studies from Babcock University and an MA in international studies from the University of Denver in Colorado. She currently works as a communication and fundraising specialist at a charity organization that helps to educate children with autism. She also volunteers as a children's ministry teacher and communications lead at her local church. She's happily married to the love of her life and purpose partner. Everyone join me in welcoming. I'll call you Minister Bibi Babatunde Kotu. The last time she was here, it was just Bibi Babatunde, but it's since be hyphenated to Kotu. And it's so lovely to see you today, Bibi.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Mo, for having me again. This means a lot to me. It meant that you liked me the last time and your supporters liked me as well. So that's great.
Oh, I like to. I've kept tabs with you. I think we've chatted a couple of times as well, and I love your content. I also get your blog posts in my email. So yes, I
Oh,
have. Yeah, yeah, I do get them, and so I have been. I've been very. I mean, I love what you do, and I'm very inspired that we have people like you just being bold about their mission in life, and also coming from that purpose of that mission of being Christian about, like, you're not apologetic about being Christian, which, cannot be said for so many things around, because people tend to like want to hide it just because, people think if you're Christian, you like believe in the, in fairies or in Santa Claus. All right. And the last time she was here, we talked about being single, being sent, and being satisfied. And I think we also talked about, sexual purity. And then she didn't, she was just a single Pringle then, but now she has a ringer on the finger, like Beyonce sang. Now, just a little bit of a preface to what we're going to be talking about today is marriage. It's just a simple truth about that. And one of the joys of marriage is, spending that unrestricted amount of time with a loved one. But life doesn't always happen that way. Many couples, for many reasons, they have to live separately for usually a frame of time. It could be extended, it could be short. But these reasons tend to be mostly work related. And of course, with such separation, it doesn't take, science to like figure that out. Comes loneliness, there's that, increased financial strain of traveling. And in the times of COVID, we have to put that, little disclaimer there is that there's really strain on traveling because a lot of airports have closed down. There's also communication gap, different time zones. There's so many heartaches. And I know this too well because my husband and I, T-Dog, we lived separately for 3 years, and it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. But despite this separation, one sure way of maintaining a solid bond is having a strong line of communication. And for anyone that is married or you know people that are married, communication is always a big issue, whether you're in the same physical space or not. And how much more when you are no longer in that space, how do you more than make up for it and still keep the glue going? Well, Bibi is going to be sharing about her experience in a long distance marriage. So a little bit, she got married last year, I think November, right? And I remember that your wedding made quite the stir. I got a forwarded Instagram post from one of my friends. And I watched it, I was like, oh wait a minute, I know her. And I think it was that issue of, no, your husband, you don't wanting you to kneel that. I was like, oh, that's so baby. And I just remember laughing because the friend that sent it to me, she lives in Canada, but she didn't know that I knew you. But I was like, that girl looks familiar. And then I looked at you, and oh, that's baby. Anyways, well, so your 1 year anniversary is coming up soon.
Yes.
Um, but tell us a little bit just about, your marriage, or let's talk about, yeah, just, what it's been like, I guess, despite it being, not up to a year yet, but I'm sure every day being married is like, almost like 1,000 years in a good way.
Oh my goodness. I would say marriage has been great, but I say that cautiously just because I haven't really, this might be me invalidating my experience. Well, yeah, I feel like I haven't really had the chance to like experience marriage like other people have, in the sense that I literally went to Nigeria last year for my wedding and did my 1 week honeymoon, and I was back to Canada. And the plan was for me to visit in April, but as of April, the world was locked down. I knew that I wasn't going anywhere, and that was just like
Yeah.
devastating. And like April, May, June, July, everything just got like so blurry. But I would say that it's been nice. I feel like I married someone that is really kind, and kindness is something that is rare. And also someone that's just always like rooting for me and in my corner, even though we're like 5,000 miles apart. I don't know how many miles. He knows how many miles. I don't.
I believe if you take 5,000, we'll take 5,000.
Yeah. So, so, but it's been a good experience. I feel like throughout our times being apart, we've had different experiences. Like life has changed. I've changed jobs. I've moved houses. He's changed jobs. Is done different things. We've gotten much more busy in ministry. By the end of the day, I would say marriage has been nice. It's funny that sometimes when people talk about like marital argument, and maybe also based on my experience, I always expect the worst. Like I always expect arguments to be like fight and you guys don't talk for like 5 days. So based on that definition, I always like, oh, me and Busayo, we don't fight because we've never had that kind of like disagreement that we wouldn't talk for like hours or days. Like it has never happened. So to me, I'm like, oh, we don't argue, we don't disagree. Whereas that's a lie, because of course, we're two different people from two different backgrounds with two different experiences. Of course, we do disagree, but I feel like something that's really helped in our disagreement is like understanding that, okay, this is your perspective, that's your perspective. I would say at first it was always me trying to get him to like see from my side and agree with my point and all of that. But then I've grown into that place like, oh, it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to agree with what I'm saying. Like, you married him for that reason, the fact that he's not always going to say yes to what you want, and he's not always going to agree to everything that you're saying. Like, you married him for that reason. But I would say marriage has been beautiful, and we found ways to like creatively love on each other and appreciate each other and show each other constantly that we're there. It's been a lot of sacrifice too as well, given the time difference. I
Yeah.
would say more on his part because his schedule is much more flexible than mine. So like sleeping late, waking up early, sleeping in between the day so we can like catch up at night and like talk in my own night and everything. But yeah, I'd say it's been nice. I hardly recommend marriage with kind people, not just
Yeah.
marry anybody. Yeah, it's been a
Oh
good
yeah,
experience.
that's a good point to mention. And I like to say that I've been married for 9 years and I still haven't completed that lesson of not wanting to change my husband, but trying to always find my way. Because I mean, wives gotta do what wives gotta do, right?
Mhm,
And you've just been there for less than a year. And you already figured this out.
mhm.
I think you're doing a lot better than the most of us. But
Maybe in some aspects than others, maybe.
I guess maybe we should hear a side of the story. But anyways, how long did you guys date and how did you guys meet?
Ooh, that's a very interesting question. Okay, so Busayo knew of me when we were in undergraduate school. So we both went to Babcock University in Nigeria. He
So
knew
you're rich
about me.
kids.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
So I had to use the lag, so let me put it into context.
So yeah, so we both went to Babcock University, but I didn't know anyone like Busaya existed, but he knew me. And I believe it was in April 2018. It slid into my DM. So it's hashtag we met on Twitter story. It slid into
Oh
my
wow.
DM and it was like,
Wow.
"Hello, guy." I know, right? And in 2018, I wasn't really big on Twitter then. I was still like an underdog, still like with 4K followers. It was still like growing and everything. So
Fuck
just
it, underdog. I have
just
600 and something followers, and I was like, that's too
but
many people.
you're not really active on Twitter.
I'm never.
So it slid in my DM and it was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I really like your posts. They're really relatable, especially in our Christian journey, yada yada yada. I was exhausted. I think he DM'd me at like 10 p.m. And I was like, can I get a rain check? I remember vividly saying, can I get a rain check on this conversation? I'm really tired right now. Let's just talk some other time. And because I'm really good at responding to my DMs, I'm never that kind of person. I'll be like, I'm not just gonna talk to you just because I don't know you. I'm like, I try to be polite and accommodating. So I was like, you know what? I'm really tired right now. Let's talk some other time. Rain check. And I was like, okay, sure, no problem. Have a good night. So the next morning after I got dressed, it was on my commute to work. I remember I just moved back from the States. I was in Nigeria, working in Nigeria for like a year. So I was going to work. It was around 7 in the morning. I was like, oh, there was only this person that messaged me. Let me just message them back. So to me, I said, no, I'm proud. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, how are you? Good morning. Sorry about last night. I was really tired. My name is Bibi, yada, yada, yada. It's like, yeah, I just wanted to tell you that I really like your post. It's blah, blah, blah. And then once someone starts to talk about like Christ, like I lit up, like I just go on with the conversation because like it's a lot to talk about, right? So we're just like talking about our faith, trading stories and everything. I was like, oh, this guy's actually interesting. So I had a boyfriend. But I wasn't like trying to get a man or anything. It was just like,
BB,
no,
Mr. BB.
no, it wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
that. No,
Mm-hmm.
let
Deep
me, let
slider.
me, let me clear the air on that. It wasn't like that. So we weren't having like any romantic connection or anything. It was just like a Christian in Christ and a brother in Christ
Just
connecting on the
ignore my jest. I was just trying to put your leg. Actually.
connecting on Christ and like everything. I even told him about my boyfriend, like everything, like, oh yeah, I have a boyfriend. My boyfriend was long distance too. Then they've used long distance. So like we just like had like a casual friendship. It wasn't anything romantic, it was just like normal, innocent, cool, just like talking and everything. But then I said like, okay, I really liked talking to him. He was that kind of person that I could have a conversation with. It was, I mean, back then, I was a very strong feminist. I feel like now I'm like feminist light because I'm no longer as like strong as I used to be. Just because I had like a lot of strongholds about like relationships and marriage and expectations as of then. Like, so I was not very, very warm or accommodating when it comes to like men. Like I was that kind of person that was really, really quick to like shout men as calm kind of thing, even though I've changed. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. I can see
Okay.
you. Yeah, you're good.
All right. So yeah, so that happened, and I was like, okay, so we just started talking, and like we just got really good into like conversation. So we are talking back to back. But unfortunately, the relationship I was with in was a strange relationship. We
Mm.
were in we're in a long distance relationship, and for the duration of our time together, it has always been me trying to drive us to Christ and try to like lead the relationship to Christ all the time. And
Mm.
I thought it was okay just because like the people that I had seen growing up, it was always the woman in the family that was the prayer warrior, the church goer, the like
Mm.
everyone leading the family spiritually. And I don't come from that kind of family. My dad leads our family spiritually. So I was just kind of like a lot of people I speak to about like I don't really feel comfortable trying to push this person spiritually, but I was forcing it. And 2018 was such a year that I grew, like my faith grew exponentially. Like I grew a lot. Just maybe there's just something in the air in Nigeria that just makes you so much more
Yeah,
focused and like
the the
the
inconveniences.
environment.
You pray a lot. It's when you come to the US,
Exactly.
you forget about your village people and everything
Exactly.
that's happening.
So
Because everything goes smoothly, you know.
I know, right? The
There's
government, the system works. So like half of your
yes,
prayers are already
the
slashed.
roads are good. Not
The
like
roads
God,
are-
don't let Amrapa come and catch you in my house today.
I
There are no
know, right?
mosquitoes, so you don't have to pray about malaria. Like it's very hard
Exactly.
being a Christian in the US because it's like all your village people are just not, they're saying that they're just taking a hike on you. I know what you
Mhm.
mean.
Yeah, and also I think it also has to do with the fact that I got connected with like a gospel centric church, and the sense that a lot of things that I thought was the gospel wasn't really the gospel, and just like hearing
Mm.
about like the realities of new creation, like of course when you get the gospel, it fires you up. So that caused a lot of strain in the relationship. It was a lot of like, oh, I'm trying to push us to pray more, and it's just like, nah, I'm okay. I don't feel like praying. And so at that period of time, I guess maybe because I was hearing like proper word of God, I kept on asking questions like, okay, so what is our vision? What are we doing? Like, what's the plan? But anyways, to cut the long story short, I found out that it wasn't really saved. And I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work because like my
Not gonna
faith is a
work.
major part of who I am. I don't see myself being in a long-term relationship of someone that isn't saved. They just go to church because they grew up going to church. They've
In the
never
church.
really had like a one-on-one
Yeah.
encounter with Jesus, that kind of thing. So that relationship end. And like on the other hand, I read that like I did build such a good friendship with my husband. I mean, it was sad because he ended in a very, very bad way, and he knew how like hard I was taking it and everything. So after a while, after I had like broken up with that other guy, a few months later, we started like being friendly. I'm like, okay, I guess you're about to be my boyfriend or whatnot. And oh, this is so funny. And like it's so interesting. I feel like Christian brothers, if they know what they want, they go for it. Like they don't say, I want to date you for 50 years before
Okay,
I
let's
decide
pause
if
on
I want
that
to marry
because I feel
you.
like, I mean, you talking to me about that right now because I have friends who they're still single and they still think like that men these days are just not very communal. And for me to hear you say that about Christian brothers, so I want you to expand a little bit on that. Even though we're talking about marriage, but I think for those that are not yet married, because it
Mhm.
seems like men, I've had girls like, there's a guy there in the picture, like it's like in her range of vision, and you cause that eclipsing in such a way that other guys can approach her, but then you have not even opened your mouth to say, "Here are my intentions with you." Like for women in that kind of situation, the guy hasn't declared, but then there could be an interest, but you
Mhm.
haven't like he hasn't declared. Like, what do you have to say about all this? Like, what do you have to say to those kind of women? Like, do you think they should step up or they should just excuse themselves from that situation? Because I believe that if a man likes you, like even no matter how shy he is, like he should just at least say something, even if he's gonna send a letter through a pigeon. At least say something and communicate his interest. What do you have to say about that?
What I want to say is that start diversifying. Honestly, don't stay in a no, because it's number one. I would say if I'm gonna use like the Christian relationship template, you're not doing anything physical with this person. I hope you're not sleeping with them. Like, start diversifying. If someone is not trying to be serious with you and let you know, like, okay, these are my intentions for us, this is the end goal for me, then you know that they're not serious. I personally, I think maybe this is an aspect that I'm a bit more traditional. I'm not that kind of person that would like push a girl to be like, so what are we? What's the plan? I mean, you can hint it, you can drop it in some places like, oh yeah, my friend is getting married, and blah, 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 like hint it, but like I don't want anyone to ever get to that state that you have to ask, so what are we? Where are we
What are
going?
we? Yeah. Yeah.
I feel
Mm.
like men that, and this is men, I've also seen it in like other people's relationships, like men that are serious and they know what they want, they don't leave room for imagination. They don't leave room to use that, okay,
There
can
you
we be?
go.
Should we
Yeah.
be? Are we? Is it like, no, they come straight up to you and let you know what their intentions are. I'm very, very skeptical of men that don't tell you their intentions up front,
Yeah.
because I'm like, this one is just a time waster and ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't
No
nobody.
time to waste time. Time is money. So I feel like
Mm.
men that know what they want, they come up front and they say, this is what I want. This is what I'm
Mm.
looking into.
Mm.
And it's okay too, because sometimes you might start with a destination of we want to get married. But along the line, you might have differences that it's like, okay, we're not compatible. Let's go our separate way.
Yeah.
That's completely okay.
Yeah. As long as you're very communicative about that, like those don't
Exactly,
just
that's
don't go
okay.
to, yeah.
Someone, I once heard a play on words, it's a bit corny, where it says a relationship is a transportation vehicle to, it's a ship that leads you to marriage. So if on the journey to marriage you see that there's no alignment, maybe your values, your goals, your visions don't align, you can hop off the train. It's not a,
But if you're on the ship,
but
you're
let,
gonna just enter the water and then drown in the water. What if you cannot swim? Just
lifeboats,
kidding.
take a
Just kidding.
lifeboat. You can take a lifeboat. But yeah, just knowing that there should be a, like there should be a goal. The
A
Bible
goal
even
in
says
mind.
without a vision, like what's that thing? Write a vision on
People
the wall,
without vision,
make it
people
clear.
perish.
Like let
Yeah.
there be a vision. Like what are we doing? I feel like this is where I'm very passionate about. I feel like men need more mentors to mentor them and teach them these things. Like you don't go to a woman you've seen and not like let her know what your intentions are. Don't go with the, let's go with the vibe. Because if you're going with the vibe, you might see someone else that is like, see, many people feel like, oh, once you get married, you never get attracted to someone else
Oh
again.
no. It
Oh,
gets
like,
worse.
honey, what are you talking about? Like, but
As
it's
long
like
as you're
just like,
not blind.
right? So I just know. So I feel like
Yeah.
more men need to like, I feel like older men need to like step up and mentor younger men in this side. Like when you see a woman, don't do like I always say this way, look at that. And also I'm coming into the Christian space. Like, look at her, like this is a daughter of God. She's precious. She's extremely precious. Like, why would you want to do that to someone that is your sister first? Because we're first brothers and sisters in Christ before anything else. She's precious. She's a precious child of your father. Why would you want to go wild, like waste that time?
At
Don't
times,
do
yeah.
that. So I feel like Christian, no, I wouldn't say all Christian men, but like most stories of even my friends that got married really fast from when they met the guy to when they got married, like I would say the average is like 6 months of like meeting the guy, him saying he knows what he wants, you
What
saying,
they
okay, I
want, yeah.
know what I want to.
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other and see.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like time frame is really, really short.
Yeah.
Like by January, Busaya had already met my parents. And we had never started dating, well, only started dating for like 3 months. He had already met my
Wow.
parents because like, I'm serious about this. This is what I want. You're exactly what I've prayed for. And also, one thing I really appreciated about what he did was that, okay, when he got to ask me out, it was like, Bibi, this is it. I want to have a relationship with you that leads to marriage. That's my goal. That's what I desire. But I don't want you to say yes to me because you like me or because I'm telling you that I like you. I want you to take time away to pray and think about it. If you have a list, go through your list. Do I meet your requirements? I don't want you to come because like I'm the first guy that you're meeting and like maybe I want you to go and pray and hear from God about it. Don't do this because I'm asking you to. Talk to your parent, talk to your best friend, talk to anybody else that prays with you. Like it was really, really counseling me. I was like,
So
Okay.
he gave you an out just in case, like, you think
Just in
about it.
case. Exactly.
That's
So I was like,
nice.
okay, you know what? So I went and I did my prayers and everything. And like, I just got like this overwhelming sense of peace. And I already liked him, even aside from like God saying yes. Like, I already really liked him. I already saw who he was about, even like conversations with like his loved ones, his friends, like a lot of things they said about him was like good. I know some people like, oh, of course, will your friends say bad things about you? Hopefully not. But like, I just thought I was such a genuine person and someone that I felt like I can trust in my life. Because if you're going to marry
Yeah.
someone, you have to be able to
You need to
trust
be
them
able
in
to
your life.
trust
So I would
them.
say,
Yeah.
then he met my parents in January. Then by November, we got married.
So how long do you guys date for?
Ah, let's say like a year and 3 months, maybe.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Or less,
And
actually, maybe like a year and a month, maybe.
okay. And I just recap what you said before I move on to the next question. And I have so many questions, so we'll try to keep the responses short. Is that
Yes, sorry
um
about that.
no, it's okay. I could talk to you all day long. No, nothing to be sorry about. I like how you give your perspective. And I think the lesson here is that for those that are in a single relationship, you're single, you're in a relationship with somebody, it's okay for you to communicate what your needs are, what your goals are. And I feel like, especially women, we feel like if we're a little bit assertive, we can come off as being, desperate for marriage. But there's no need to be stuck in a place where you can't even communicate what you need, because you're gonna need those skills when you get married. When things are like flying and you have to, like, prioritize what your expectations are gonna be like, one, and then what you're willing to contribute. So don't be afraid to communicate what you want. And fine, your husband sounds like my husband. The first day he asked me out, like, wasn't the first day we met. The moment he asked me, I was like, I just want to date you, I want to marry. And I remember just laughing at him because I didn't think I was gonna get married. Not all men like that. Some men it might take them a while to get to that point. So whether he's telling you on the first date or he's telling you 3 months or 4 months later, make sure that there's that communication, and both of you at least you have an understanding that, okay, I know I'm not ready now. Sometimes I can be on the woman's part. Maybe the man has already said I'm going to marry, and the man is not ready. As long as both of you are communicating and your values are aligned, I cannot even overemphasize the importance of values. What are your values? And I'm not talking about he has to be 6 feet tall, 6 figure salary, or no, all those things will come and go. Like, what do you want in a man? What do you want? You need to be able to sit down and make your list up, and then still just pursue it. It doesn't make you vain. It doesn't make you, what's the word, finicky. If you communicate what you want, and some people have spouses who were not very strong Christians in the beginning, but then as time went on, they went. But you have to decide, what are you willing to live with, because whatever I see in that person before you got married, if you think when you get married it's gonna get better, always go for the worst case scenario. Like, it's gonna get worse. Can you handle that? So those are some of the things I picked from previous story. Now let's talk about, so you got married and then a week and then you've been in Canada since then. Man, that is difficult. How have
I
you been coping?
know.
Just like how have you been coping? Like, how?
So for me, I feel like just because we're also in a long distance relationship before we got married. So for me, it's just kind of like an extension.
Okay.
For me, nothing has really changed. It's just kind of like, oh, I went to visit him and maybe we got married. But like for me, it's just like an extension. We already had our system, we already had the way it was working before we got married. So I mean, it's different because now we're like married. But then it's like just an extension of what we're doing before we said I do. So it's still the same schedule. I guess maybe now we're just a bit more closer and I would honestly say like I don't think it has really dawned on us that we're married because sometimes we just be like, babe, we're really married though. I was like, yeah, we are. And sometimes it dawns on me like, I'm
Oh,
really like I'm actually really, really married. It hasn't really dawned on us like in the fullest sense, which is kind of
yeah.
cute because like, it's kind of like my boyfriend and I'm kind of like his girlfriend, whatever kind of thing. But I would say, I feel like if we were together for a long period of time before we got married. Then we got married. I feel like it might be harder than it is now. For me, it's just kind
And
of
it
like
is
a
now
continuation. I mean, there are
of
hard
what it
days. Like
was.
there's some days I have like the most horrible days, and I'm like
Yeah.
maybe crying on the phone. I can literally see his face, like helpless. Like there's nothing I can do to make you feel better at this point in time. And of which it
Yeah.
tries to as well. And I also try and just like be there in capacities that we can. So yeah.
Yeah. So the next question I want to ask you now is to set a template for the next set of questions. and it's gonna be about your personality type. Who do you think is more patient in the relationship? You or him?
I would definitely say him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who do you think is more of a visual person? You or him?
Vision.
Like visual, like out of sight, out of mind. But this person's not the out of sight, out of mind kind of person. Like they want you, like they rather be in the same physical space to be able to communicate better. You or him, or neither of you?
I would say I would say both of us,
Both of
but
us. Okay.
anything to do with what we have right now.
Okay. So I asked that because I know that when we started doing our long distance stuff, I found out a lot of things about myself, and they were not always nice things. I mean, I'd known to a degree that I didn't like small talks, but it was when we started doing the long distance relationship that I realized that I desperately hated, small talks. So let me give you an example. My husband, he would call every day, and I used to tell him, "You don't have to call me every day." And but he wanted to just talk. He would talk about everything that happened at work, and I'm just giving him monosyllables because I'm like, I don't want to just rehash the whole day. A lot of things happened at work that were not, eventful. But he would talk about everybody, and that was his way of just connecting. And he used to get on my nerves, and I will fight about it. And he'll be like, "I'm never gonna call you again." Guess what? He's gonna call the next day. And then I started going to therapy, and I realized that that was his way of just finding a way to connect. I didn't have to like tell him exactly how my day went using his exact vocabulary, but I could find a way to just meet him somewhere in the middle. And that's why I asked, because I'm not the very patient one in a relationship. He's more patient, and I'm someone that if you're out of my physical space, sometimes you're out of my mind. It's not so I stop liking you, but I'm more person interaction. Almost like love the one you're with. And of course, when you're in a marriage, regardless of whether you are there in person or not, you still have to maintain like what's the word, a loving atmosphere about this person, a tenderness about them. So that said, what are some of the communication, without even giving too much away, what are some of the communication issues you say you've had, and how are you mitigating them, or how have you been able to mitigate them?
I would say one thing that has helped is like always thinking the best, because it's very hard, because what we do is like we try to text on like WhatsApp all day long, and it's very hard for you to hear tone under like the person's text.
That's true.
But I
That's
know
true.
that one thing that we've done is to try to think the best of each other. I think First Corinthians 14 says love doesn't I've
Hold
forgotten how exactly,
hold
but it
the
doesn't
record
think evil of the
of the
person.
other
So
person.
always knowing
Yeah.
that he has is my best intentions at heart, no matter how it comes across. And also, a funny story. There was one time he had done something annoying, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not just gonna talk to you for the rest of the day. And so I just went on. I just like went on with my work and everything. So when I got off work, I texted. I was like, "Oh, so you're not gonna check up on me? That can't you see that I've not been talking to you for like the past 5 hours?" Like, wait, you're already talking to me? Like, even know that I was like ignoring him because if he had gone about this day of his work, I'd gone. So that made me seem really, really silly. Like, look at me. You're just here getting like being angry with him, and he was just out there like living his best life. Do you know that I was like angry? So when I said like, oh, can't you see that I've been ignoring you since that's I've not messaged you in like 5 hours, which is a very long time for us to not
Yeah.
speak. And he was like, you were? God, I didn't even know. So we just had a good laugh about it because like I was busy there angry. You didn't know you had even
Yeah.
done anything. And at the end of the day, it was so insignificant. So like we just laughed about it. So I would say communication matters. Like sometimes I'll be like, if it annoys me right away, I say right away, like that's annoying. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
about it right there. But I've also learned not to like hold on to stuff for too long.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like it's kind of like a good and a bad thing, because it's not everything I have to say at every point in time. Like there's some things like I think I'm also being trained in that place of like being reserved, like reserving some things. It's not every comment you have to say.
I
It's
have to
not.
remember. Yeah. Ah, God.
So just like being reserved and like, okay, is this really
Yeah.
necessary right
I
now?
feel
No,
judged
we
right
still
now,
want to
Billy. I feel
overlook.
judged.
I'm still learning. I feel like no, Busaya is such a gracious person. I even like I remember when we're together for my wedding, like I would do something really, really annoying, and I can literally see his face go annoyed, like get annoyed. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. And like it switches back. So I'm just like, okay, I'm lucky that he doesn't take it
Keep it.
like he doesn't take
Yeah.
things for too long. Like in as much as
Yeah.
like I apologize, like sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean it. it just like
I,
self-regulates. So that's good.
I think it is two things. Like it's his, his kind of person he is, and I think because he also loves you. Because when you
Yeah,
love people like that, you tend to overlook a lot of stuff. Not as if you're
yeah,
just like letting things slide, but you know that that's not how they meant it, or you know their heart in a way.
yeah. You know
Okay,
they're hard.
yeah. So a little bit with TMI. Well, not so TMI because I've talked about it. I know one of the things. Let me put it in better context. I'm fiercely independent, and one of the problems I had when I thought about marriage was I just thought I didn't think I want to get married because I felt like you lose your independence, you become more vulnerable, your dreams you had to like give them up. And so I told my husband then like, I wasn't sure if I could stay married, not because it wasn't about being faithful. It was just that I was going to get bored and I wanted to do something else in my life. And and so when the separation happened, initially I was very excited. Like I mean, like by separation, I mean that the long distance,
Mm-hmm.
because finally I had time to do everything I wanted to do, and I used those years really well. I will not lie. And when I finally got the distance I wanted, I'll tell you that there was still that emptiness. I just realized that okay, I'm never gonna do this again in my life. If I can help it, I'm never gonna do long distance because I've done it. And sincerely, if you think about the benefits and just the downside, the benefit doesn't really outweigh the just the things that hang on with you. But one thing I had to work on was setting boundaries for myself. Now I'm not someone that will just go out there and misbehave and make use of that freedom to do anything that will bring distrust or just pain to my spouse. And we don't do that for each other just because we want to be nice to each other, because we are really our marriage is based on the foundation of our belief in Christ, and that's making sure that we're doing things in accordance to our faith and what the Word of God says. But I'll let you know that one of the things I really struggle with is I fall. I think I'm more prone to emotional connection with people who have the gift of gab, like people who can talk, who are very eloquent, who speak my language, because I love intellectual stimulation. So I find myself getting attracted to people, and it could be men, it could be women. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew that without my husband being around, I needed to be very careful not to, let my guards down. So I had to like be very, very structured about my boundaries. So I'm just curious to know what are some of the boundaries you are setting, in place for yourself, and that might be encouraging to those who are currently, maybe if they fall under what you might want to talk about, and how they can, make sure that they're putting those boundaries in place.
I'll tell you the first thing that we do is like we expose stuff. If I see somebody that is good looking and they're in my space all the time, I say it like, okay, I find myself getting attracted to this person. Because for me, once it's exposed, it's no longer a thing. But things like that, they thrive in secrecy, and you wouldn't know where you find yourself crossing the line and like crossing over and doing something unacceptable. So I feel like one strategy that we've always used was exposing it and also
Mm-hmm.
trying to be so unjudgmental. Because I even sometimes I would like say, like this person is very, very attractive. Then like I'll tell him, let's go stalk their social media. And he's like, it's true, it's very,
Yeah.
very fine. That I would just like laugh about it. Do you understand? And like,
That sounds
so
like my
that's just how
husband.
it is. We just go and like stalk their social media, like, he's a fine guy, you you will not be like, sorry, sorry, I married you first. Like that kind of thing. I would just laugh about it. So that has really, really worked, exposing it. Once I find myself having, like, just because the kind of person I am on Twitter, like, I find people coming in my DMs for like advice and counsel and like really, really point their heart out to me, men, women, like, and sometimes I find myself like, okay, in that point of like trying to help them through whatever they're going through, there's some vulnerability, there's some openness with that person. I always just expose it to Busayo too as well, and just tell him all about like, okay, this is the case I'm working on. What are your advice? So that way, for me, my mind, I'm like, he's in the know. So
Yeah,
even if I try to act anyhow or misbehave, he's in the know. I'm
he's
already
in the
carrying
know.
him
I
along
like
with
that.
everything, the conversation. So I feel like that's like, I think that's like the primal thing. Just exposing it as soon as it happens, expose. Because once it's exposed, like it's dead. That's just what it is. It's
That's so
exposed, it's
true.
dead.
That's so
It's
true.
kind of like
It's
when you're in
like
secondary school and you tell your crush that
about
I
your
have a crush
crush.
on you.
Yes.
That's the end. The crush is over.
Or you tell somebody I'm stalking your Facebook, it's over. Or you tell
It's over.
somebody that you're like your favorite actor in the world, it's over. Like,
It's over.
that's so true. Talk about, self-check process. I like that. My husband and I would do that girl, that babe is fine. I'm like, yeah, she's fine. Like, oh yeah. And then I like that. I like that. I like that very much. Thanks for saying that. Now another question I wanted to ask you. So let me put a little bit of a preamble so that I'm sharing a little bit about myself. Is even though some of the days it was quite lonely and especially when the days were really horrible, like you gave an example of, and I just wanted to just talk to. I was just in a big space by myself. Those were the downsides, but the upside was that I was able to use that time to develop myself. I did Toastmasters a lot. Eventually getting to making my DTM, which is like the highest award you can get in Toastmasters as a distinguished Toastmasters. I poured myself into my job. I was able to travel. I could, turn on the TV and leave it on overnight. My husband doesn't like, sleeping with the TV on or living the life. I just had all my bad habits. Like I did everything, and I did things that I wanted to do for myself. It felt like being single again, but of course, you're married. What are
Married,
some of
yeah.
the things you would say has you benefited in any way from being in a long distance relationship? Have you picked a
I would
new skill? Have you gone back to
uh
school, ministry, maybe more time for yourself?
honestly, like I feel like it's a lot. For example, now I know not only I have a blog, I have a YouTube channel and I have a video that goes out every week. And I feel like that might not be possible if it was here. I'm very, very active in ministry. So being a children's teacher, even though there's lockdown, we still have to take classes every week. I feel like that might not be possible if it was here. I would say what else? What else? What else? I would say also just having time for myself, knowing that when I say good night, talk to you tomorrow, I still have like 6 hours till I go to bed
Yourself,
and I can
yeah,
binge
yeah.
watch my TV shows. I can call all my friends. I can do whatever I want. I can go out to dinner once I've said good night because of the time difference, right? Um, so I'd say, yeah, most likely it's mostly on the content creation side of things. I've just been able to like pour myself more into like my creative thinking side of things. I feel like I'm really excited about my YouTube channel because I'm coming up to 1K subscribers, which is really, really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I just started
Dominate.
not quite
You're
long
gonna
ago.
dominate. I know, I know, I know. I remember when you sent that blast out. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. So that has been exciting. I would say just what else? Eating whatever I like because he's a Nigerian man and I have a rule. I only swallow once a month. But
What's
knowing
the month?
him once a month, 'cause I'm just like but knowing if he
Uh,
were to be here, we'll probably be eating like every other day or every day. So I'm glad about that.
my husband sounds like your husband, and I just told him no because I like to cook different things. So I've
I
made a rule.
know,
We'll
right?
try to do it once a week. If that guy
Me
could eat
too.
swallow every day, he would do it. I'm like, well, in America, it's the land of plenty. We can have Thai today, Indian tomorrow. Let's avail ourselves of the bountifulness of this country. I don't eat
Mm-hmm.
amala ever, every other day.
Every
So,
time. Like, cause
so
I
that's one of the
really
things
like
I miss.
pasta dishes. I make a
Yeah.
lot
Oh,
of
my
pasta
husband doesn't
dishes.
like. He doesn't
He
like. He
doesn't like
doesn't like.
pasta too. My
He
husband
doesn't
doesn't like
like
pasta
pasta
too.
dishes. He doesn't like Chinese food. So I'm like, ugh. That's another thing I miss. I could cook anything I wanted, and I could experiment with anything I wanted. Like he would try it though, but that some food is gonna be like, it's not cutting it for him. Yeah,
I'm trying it because of love. It doesn't mean I'll eat it again.
Like don't. They be like, what food are you making? See that thing I made the other. So tomorrow he will still remind me of it. So yeah, I think that's one of the things I miss. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing
So
that. So another question I had for you was this: in preparing to move in together again, and hopefully that time comes, very soon for you guys, because you need to be together. Um, what are some of the things you think will be helpful to kind of make that process seamless? So let me give you an example. I love my space, and whenever I stay in a place, I make it my own. You know, and while I was living by myself, eventually traces of him kind of disappeared. You know, and so he will come in almost like a guest that came for a week because he will get like a week off every 3 months. And then we used to fight a lot. Like, I don't put that thing there. Why are you putting it? Like, we just used to fight like someone that just intruded on my space. And I know I get to be very territorial about things sometimes. So when we knew that his residency was nearing the end, and he was gonna have to move into Oklahoma with me, I knew that he couldn't move into that same apartment because it was just gonna because the closet was full of my stuff. Like I had my stuff everywhere. Like if you just walked into the house, even if there was someone that was married there, and we don't really hang pictures around the house, so that's like a totally different point. So I knew that we had to buy a house. And now we were gonna start together. and it wasn't gonna be like, oh, I'm accommodating your stuff. Like here's a little corner
Yeah.
for your space and all that. But that's just in a very flimsy. But it wasn't very flimsy because I knew it was very important for me because I didn't want to keep getting that irritation. And we're due to buy a house anyways. But I didn't want to be irritated a lot to make him feel like he was invading my space. It was hard enough that I had to make some adjustments, and he had to make some adjustments as well to be living back together again when he was used to a particular kind of way of living and I was used to a particular kind of way of living. So how are you preparing yourself for the time when you guys move together? What are what are some of the ways you're trying to shrink the space? It might not be physical like we did, but like your mental space, not like to accommodate, but to include this person.
That's a good question because I haven't. I know, like,
Girl, it's
definitely
very important. I tell you, like
it
really.
is. I know, right? So for
Yes.
starters, I know that we'll definitely have to get a place together. I don't want to get a place without him, so it doesn't feel like it's my space and he's coming into, because now I currently have a flatmate I live with. So definitely that's on the radar, starting to look into places and like sending him videos and his take and whatever. He's really, really particular about like spaces. I don't care in as much as there's a bed, there's a couch, there's a kitchen, there's a TV. I'm
Really?
good.
That's
Yeah,
unusual for
I'm
a
not,
woman.
oh, honestly, I'm not very, even like for my wedding, like my decor, I was just like, I didn't really care much about it because it's not my taste. It's not what I care about. It's more of the person that cares about like the space or the color, yada yada yada. I'm just like, if it's comfortable and livable, I'm good with it. So yeah, I've started to think about it because like I know my husband is a very, very I want to be on you every minute of the day kind of person. And I'm just like, okay, you're gonna have to learn how to accommodate because there's nowhere to go to. But I'd say
Yeah.
I would. The only part I've thought about is like for the housing side, like and also like
Yeah.
sharing like links on like Amazon wish list and like, oh, put what you like, you put what I like, that kind of thing, and just trying to like find our place in the middle ground. I haven't really thought too much about it, but now that you mention it, I guess that's something to start thinking
Oh
about.
yeah. Yeah.
Especially because I'm
And
used to. Wow, that's a big thing. Because now I'm remembering when I moved back home to live with my
yeah.
family. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, get me out of here.
Yeah, and I got that inspiration when he would come to visit, and it was just I won't lie to you. Even though I enjoyed him coming, I used to look forward to the day when he go. I was like, "Ah, okay, by the time he go, at least I know that I won't have to complain about this." But in a way, I would miss him when he leaves. It was just very weird, and so I
Mhm.
knew that we need to get a space because I had occupied everything, and it was just like you had a week guest coming to visit you, and which it shouldn't be, for your spouse. But I mean, whatever you have to do, whether it's changing the physical space, I think while the physical space is important, the most important thing is the mental readiness. Because no matter how big or how small your house is, that doesn't matter. It's your heart that really matters because that's where your intentions and where your attitude will come out from. And that would really affect, your relationship, whether it's gonna be pleasant or not. And another thing was for me, I had some bad habits because I was just by myself. I always had my ears plugged and I'll just listen to podcasts, listen to songs, and so when he moved back, he'll be like, he'll come and I won't hear because I have like noise cancellation headphones. And he goes, I've been calling you for like, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So it took me a while. I haven't completely broken up from that mode. It took me a while to kind of like get used to not plugging my ears all day long around the house and just singing loud. So now I kind of sometimes if I don't want to be disturbed, I plug my ears. But if I just want to make sure that at least I'm hearing what he's saying, I take one ear out, one earbud out of my ears, and then I just listen. So that's some of the accommodation, that I made. But yeah, I think I'm done with most of my questions. Guys, if you guys have any questions for those that are joining us live, thank you so much once more for being here. We can take some questions from the audience that if you guys have, and if you don't, I'll just go ahead and just ask you. Even though I said I was done with my question, I guess we'll just talk about advice for those that are already in or about to begin long distance relationship. I think it would be a good way to kind of like summarize our talks. So I know you've talked about one. I've talked about a lot, sorry, but the one I really liked, I liked everything, but the one that I want to recap is don't make assumptions, which is really big because when you're not in the space with that person, especially with texting, like my husband doesn't like texting, he likes talking. I can text, but I can't talk for too long, and I prefer face to face. But sometimes I don't want to do video, so I'm very complicated. And so sometimes the way I read his messages sometimes can come off as he was saying in a particular kind of tone. And with text messages, you can you like tone except the person calls you or leaves a voice note. It's very hard for you to say, "Oh, this is the tone." But I like how you say, "Don't make assumptions." I think that if you don't remember anything from this conversation, at least remembering that don't make assumptions. What else again did you say? And or if you had any other thing you wanted to, add to some of the tips. And I think we should address those that maybe currently dating or those that are, married.
I would say for those that are single, not even dating yet, and you're currently closed off to like a long distance relationship, I want to encourage you to be slightly open. And the reason why I say this is because many people say, "Oh, my love language is physical touch. I love to be in the same space and yada yada yada." But like, see Mo's example now. She loves all those things, but there was a season in her marriage that they had to be apart. So even if you love being in the same space, you don't know what the future holds for you. You don't know if
Yeah.
someone will have to travel for work. You would have to be, I feel like everyone has to be in some form of long distance at some point in their life. So it's not as bad. I know many people have had like terrible experiences and all, but I just want to advise you not to be totally, totally closed off to the idea, because you don't know if that's how you're going to meet the love of your life. And when you're closed
Yeah.
off to it, you'll never give yourself that chance to meet the love of your life. It's not that bad. It's doable. I would be lying if I said it's easy. It's not easy. It's hard. They are really hard days. But I feel like that also helps the quality of your relationship, right? That if you can be faithful, be respectful, honor one another when there's so many miles in between you,
Yes.
imagine how the relationship would be when you're together. It only gets stronger. So don't close
Yeah.
your mind totally to long distance relationship. For those that are currently in long distance relationships, I would say that you can start doing a mental countdown. Like we spoke earlier, having like a vision of the relationship where you're going to, that really helps when you start doing like a mental countdown, like, okay, this will soon be over, we'll still be together. It helps you hold on to something tangible. I would say like last year when I was traveling back for my wedding, it was really, really nice because me and my husband had like days like countdown, like, oh, 5 more days to see you, 10 more, like it was exciting and all. Even if you have to start from 100 days, it doesn't really matter. Just keep holding on to those 100 days. And I would say take as many pictures and videos that you can take. Like, don't say, oh, I don't look pretty, so I don't want to take pictures today. No, take the pictures when you're not your best self, when you're your best self. Take random pictures, take random videos too, as well, because these are the things that help you hold on to your memories and like helps you cherish it as well. Take videos, loads and loads of videos, take loads and loads of pictures, and just like have like a shared drive where you can just like upload these things and view and just always like remind yourselves. And also I think another thing that I that happened to me when I went back to Nigeria before my wedding was like, oh, I actually do enjoy this person, because like when you're in a long distance for a very long time, you begin to forget what it feels like to be around this person, and you start to think, do I even like them, do I even enjoy being around them? So like when those moments happen, like cherish it, like, oh, I actually do enjoy this person. Like nothing feels like being in the same physical space. Like don't start to downplay it, like, oh, it's whatever, we talk on the phone every time, it's the same, because it's really not the same. So just
Yeah.
enjoy those moments. Try to be there. If you can do an unplugged vacation, unplugged visit, try it, so that way you can just learn more about each other. And also have it at the back of your mind that just because you're in long distance relationship, that there's still a lot of learning to do. Like I remember this morning I was talking to my husband and I was like, yeah, you really like bread, don't you? And we started laughing like, wow, look at what our conversations have turned into. Like they're just little things that you think you don't know about the bread. They're not like the core things, but little things like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I really
Surprises you.
like,
Yeah.
exactly, like, oh, I really like bread, or maybe my showering routine, like little things. Like, how do you know that? Like, we've never been in the same space for you to like know things like that about me. It's like also just be gracious. Like it's like what's that thing called? Merge, storm, and I've forgotten the last one, but like there's a process to it. Like when you two come together, there might be a lot of room for like adjustment. Make room for that
Yeah.
adjustment. Be open,
Yeah.
be love. Remember why you go into a relationship with them in the first place, and
Yeah.
just always think the best of them. Always be in their corner. Think best case scenario when it comes to them rather than worst case scenario,
Yeah.
because that encourages you to keep going. So yeah, I
Yeah.
hope that's
Yeah.
helpful.
I like that. And also, I'm sure we didn't really emphasize it, but it's always implied, like, set time to pray together and, pray for them as well. And also use technology to advantage. We've been physically distanced now because of COVID, and a lot of people now know about Zoom. I don't have to experience Zoom to a lot, which is kind of good. But if you're in a relationship, there are many other apps you can use. I know Facebook Messenger. Even though I said I didn't like video chatting, they have this feature where you can do swap faces. And my husband and I used to have like such a few time. I'll swap my face to be a clown, and
Yeah.
sexy lips, and just doing that. And some games you can play. I used to play Word with Friends with him, and even though I'll end up cheating and winning. So I stopped playing with him for a while. But then there's so many things you can do. Just use that to your advantage. Some people, maybe their husband works on Monday through Friday and comes home on the weekend. So it's maybe like a little bit of a different flavor. Wherever life finds you, whatever is the situation, know that there's always going to be an end in sight, right? It's not going to be forever, I hope. And think about it, like when you guys are together, what's kind of relationship, what's the kind of moment you want to be having, and how do you build towards those moments? Because what's going to happen when you guys start living together, it's not because of what you'll be doing at that moment. It's what you built in store beforehand. So settle your fights quickly. Always try to have the best assumption in mind, even when there's like evidence in front of you. Unless you clarify, don't make assumptions. And if you can, if you like, then my schedule allow for me to visit once a month or once every 2 months if I wasn't traveling everywhere. And he had time to just visit me once every 3 months. And so you can imagine just the difficulty that puts. I can't really imagine how much more now when people are not really flying. But whatever it is, I pray that the joy that should be found in marriage and being yoked with somebody, that you guys don't lose that. And I just wanted to bring Vivi on the show to kind of see how we can encourage those that are either dating or married in a long distance relationship. It's difficult, but um, there are so many good things that can come out of it. I believe in third parties. I believe in having friends to kind of help you out and talk through things, but don't invite somebody in whose values don't align with yours. Don't invite people in that will take your heart away from your spouse and sow seeds of discord amongst you, or even like lead you astray. But make sure you're using your community very well. I really relied a lot on my small groups to kind of provide at least a sense of community. So like do Bible study together, go have lunch together, go shop together. Like don't live like a little bug on a flower. Enjoy yourself as best as you can. And yeah, so this is it. I
Mo,
don't know
can
if you
I
have
add
any final
something?
words. Sure. I was gonna give you the opportunity to do that.
Okay. Oh, can I go ahead now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Also one thing I wanted to throw in there is that sometimes you might find yourself moving on auto cruise, whereas you're just going on your schedule, on your routine, and you forget to be like intentional about each other and like just okay, this is how we're doing it, and just like going and going and going. But then find opportunities to do like little things, like even if it's like surprise them with a gift when they're not expecting it. Send them something nice. Just finding ways to be intentional and deliberate about the relationship, because trust me, we can just go on auto cruise. We have our schedule, we know what we're doing, but then if you take that deliberateness out of the relationship, it makes it get stale and old quickly. So find ways to do like intentional things for the person with each other, deliberate. Date nights, don't sleep on date nights. Just turn on your video camera. If you're gonna have dinner, if you're gonna play games, like Mo said, play games. You're gonna do Q&As. There are like a lot of couple Q&As you can do, get to know each other. Hypothetical situations like, oh, if you're going to have dinner with someone who like just you'd be surprised what you're going to learn about your partner.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, just put that intentionality back into it. Don't just go on auto cruise all the
yeah,
time, but like
yeah,
be deliberate.
yeah. Thank you. And I think it goes to that important point of, at least right now, you should know what your spouse's love language is and what your love language is. I know my spouse, he likes gifts, especially meaningful gifts. So I remember there was time I got him this. I got two bracelets. One was black and it had a little white stuff like that was sticking out like a white bead, and mine was white. It had a black one, and so together they made like a complete piece. It was dirt cheap on Amazon. Just thoughtful things like that. And I wrote a note like, I'm a part of me is missing whenever I'm not with you, something like that. I used to do this kind of cheesy stuff, and and then sometimes you can just mail something to that workplace, or send them a handwritten letter. I used to send him a lot of postcards from wherever I try, because I do postcards a lot, and write a little bit of where I am and fun thing I'm doing, and telling him that I'm missing him there. So yeah, so my ideas, if your spouse is into gifts, then maybe words of affirmation. If it's physical touch, then save it for whenever you guys get in person. But there are always ways you can more than make up for it. Well, BB, thank you so much. I mean, it's always nice to have you on the show, and maybe next week, and when next week congregates, I'm sure we'll have something a big topic to talk about again. But I'm
Yes.
very excited for you and your future with your spouse Zion, and I pray that God will continue to perfect everything that concerns you. I deeply, deeply
Amen.
appreciate your time on the show, and I hope you, had a good time as well. It's always nice talking to you. Really, always nice talking to you. You have such insight on so many things that I could hear you talk all day long. Yeah. Anyways, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Mo. It was a pleasure coming back again. Hopefully, I'm back some other time. But yeah, glad to be here.
Yes. Yes, yes, and good luck with your YouTube stuff. And I watch you
Thank you.
closely, and I wish you all the best with that. I know you're
Thank
gonna
you
ace
so
it.
much.
Well, thanks, guys. This has been an initiative of the More Civil podcast, where I bring people to share stories, to connect, ourselves together. Because I believe in not doing life alone. If you like this content, don't forget to check out the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and people, where can they find you? By the way, you can do your plug.
So yeah, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is bblamore04. You can find me on my blog www.bblamore04.com, and you can find me on YouTube. My username there is my full name, bb Babatunde Ikotun, on YouTube. So yeah, on Instagram bblamore04 too as well. If
Yeah.
you Google search me, you'll find me.
Oh yeah. Like of which I searched it. I just did BB Baba and then auto completed on Google.
Oh, for real?
For real. It was the weirdest thing. I just did
Damn,
BB Baba and then it just auto completed.
damn.
Because I wanted to
Okay.
find out your month for your wedding so I could
Yeah.
reference it like November. Yeah, yeah. Google knows you. And there were some articles that came up. I think there was one you talked about, buying gift for your spouse. A news agency picked that up, and that was breaking news. Did you know that?
I saw that because I have like Google a
Yeah.
lot just to see what trouble I'm in. But yeah,
Girl, you are in the love trouble.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah. I like to bring people on the show to talk about their stories. If you're interested in being on the show, let me know. Just find me on Facebook or DM me or whatever. Email me. And thank you guys for being a part of the show today. It was really nice, hanging out with you guys. And stay safe and love you all. Thanks, baby. We'll keep in touch. All right. Bye.